interesting because a lot of those figures, the potential is huge, and there's a lot of pressure from the board and the C-suite on businesses to do something with AI.
Right.
But to your point, a lot of businesses
monetize it as quickly as possible.
Exactly, but they don't know where to start, because there's so many things, from cultural barriers, getting your employees and workforce on board, to understanding what technology you need, and for us at Boomi, where we play, understanding the data that needs to be fed into these models, because there's a lot of concerns around the quality of the data that goes into those models. And the other big issue is around data liquidity. How do we connect applications and data within an organisation to get the right data at the right time in the right place for AI to make the right outcome?
Andy has a question, David.
I certainly do. Hi there, David. When do you think that your AI agents will become as good as a human? Because in the current iteration, you can, have a very cheerful and earnest digital assistant or chatbot, but you can go round and round and round in circles, and eventually they say, "Did I satisfy your query?" And it's like, "No, you really didn't. I want to speak to a human."
No, you're exactly right. It was really interesting. On the flight over here to Singapore from Sydney, I was sitting next to a lovely old couple who happened to be from New Zealand as well, like I am. And the lady made a very good point that AI, she sees it as another opinion. And you can take it or leave it. And that's exactly right. We've got to understand that these AI systems are going to offer an outcome up for us, but it's all about risk and trust. That's the way I look at it. So I've come across data that says that up to 50 to 60% of people don't trust the data that is being fed into these AIs. And if you look at some of the things governments and businesses are looking to do, whether through regulation or industry standards, they're trying to minimise the risk of the AI and what outcome they have. Because if I'm in retail and an AI agent is set up for hyper-personalisation and says, "Hey, we know David likes to purchase blue shirts for his suit," and I change my mind and I decide I want a green shirt, that's not going to be much of an issue. But if we're in a healthcare situation and an AI agent is prescribing medicine for me, that's a lot riskier. So you're exactly right. I think, at least for the moment, there's still going to be a human in that loop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's a good point that you raise about the age groups, because I don't think my parents would be happy handing over things like handling medical appointments and paying personal bills to an AI assistant. But I'm sure my kids would be more than happy to do that, because they've been handing out their private details out to social media constantly. How do you get around some of those ethical and privacy issues then, David?
It all comes back down to the data. So putting an ethical framework within an organisation to understand what data can be accessed to be put into these models to then be trained upon. And because obviously we have personally identifiable information that we may not want to be in those models, there's some very interesting discussions at the moment around being able to opt out from having your data in those models, or having the right to forget some of that data. And another interesting concept is around explainability. So how those models are trained, what the data is trained with, how they are tested, and being able to say that in an explainable way comes a long way to providing an ethical approach to AI.
And a lot comes down to the use cases, David, and arguably we're still scratching the surface there. But in terms of productivity and efficiency gains, sorry, we're running out of time, so I must press you. What can we expect?
Yeah, you're right. It depends on the use case, but from some of our customers that are using AI to augment chatbots, as an example, provide summarisation of data in the business, they're seeing 10 to 20% efficiency gains around some of those more mundane tasks in the organisation, allowing their workforce to instead work on higher value tasks, thus raising growth and productivity.